All right, I'm gonna be enjoying this tall can of Old English, and I'm gonna talk about it. Hopefully, stay interesting. Uh, I've always liked Old English. So, my friends went out of town, and they bought a couple of these for me on their way back because they know I like it. And I haven't been able to find tall cans of Old English at all around here. 40s, yes. Um, but they're not as common as before. Like the stores around where I live don't carry Old English. They've got the Mickeys and the Steel Reserve and the King Cobra, but not Oldie. But if I go a little further down the road, I can find a 40 if I really want to. So, malt liquor, Old English. A lot of people think it's gross. I don't really know too many people who openly say they enjoy it. People like IPAs and that type of stuff these days, which I enjoy the taste of a good beer, but uh, give me a Miller High Life or a Budweiser or the yellow bubbly stuff is just fine with me. So, about a year ago, the same friends who brought me these, we went to go watch a concert, and I found some tall cans while we were out of town. Brought a few back, and I was pretty excited about it. So they remembered. They're good friends. Thank you, Leah and Mike. Uh, yeah, we first started drinking malt liquor way back in the day when I was young. My cousin's friend kind of showed me Mickey's and pointed out that it was malt liquor is stronger than beer. So it's like, oh yeah, that's stronger. We can get a quicker buzz. Um, and then we discovered, or I discovered that Old English is 7.5%. Budweiser, stuff like that, 5%. So malt liquor's stronger than that. That's what defines a malt liquor. It's a beer that's stronger than 5% alcohol, regular beer. Now we've got all these other types of beers. We didn't know too much about that when I was a kid, or young adult, I should say, rather. Um, yeah, so the 40s, we'd get them for 3 for $5. Back in those days, you can get a case for 21 bucks. Now the case is like 41 bucks. And I think it was more like 22, 42. Because now the 40s are two for $7 flat. So time multiply that. Uh, yeah, eventually all those other beers started coming out, and my friends all, I don't want to call them beer snobs, but I used to show up to the kickback on the weekend with 3 40s of Old English, hand one to one person, hand one to another, and drink the third one. And eventually they stopped taking them. I would show up with the 3 40s. No, you don't want a 40. You don't want a 40. And then I would drink all three, which I don't advise anybody doing. That's a lot of beer. Over time, it doesn't hurt, but don't be going and doing anything crazy. Um, yeah, tastier beers. I remember back then we would just drink Bud Light or Natural Light. We didn't have enough bucks to grab a case of Bud Light. We just let's get natties, so we get enough. And then one day, our buddy went on the beer run for us, and he brought back beer and normal stuff, and also brought back a 6 pack of Amberbach. And we were kind of surprised. Dude, like you spent our money on this dark beer. What is this dark beer? We don't know what dark beer tastes like. We don't know if we like it. And I'm pretty sure the whole band was there. I used to play in a band called Surreal. My brothers Victor, Nathan, and Sal. And I'm pretty sure all four of us were there. And as a group, cracked open an Amber Bock. First time, we all took a drink and said, wow, that's what dark beer tastes like. Dark beer is really good. Let's try everything we can get our hands on. And so, from then on, it was like, I remember Samuel Smith oatmeal stout I saw at the grocery store. And I grabbed one, and this dark bottle with like foil on top where the cap was, and I grabbed it to go buy it, and turned and saw the bubble, the air, kind of go to the bottom of the bottle, and the bottle was clear. And I said, wow, that's some dark beer. And it was real smooth tasting. It was great. It was awesome. One of the best journeys I ever went on is the tasty, trying everything we can get our hands on. And then like IPA, as I mentioned, it's all over the place. Back then there was this Bridgeport IPA, and I remember the bottle. It said that a spritz of yeast and malt were put into the bottle before it was capped. It caused a natural carbonation and a secondary fermentation, and it had this cool description, and I was totally sold on it, and that was my official favorite beer for a good while. And I'll never forget the first time I tried Arrogant Bastard. There was a liquor store that my buddy worked at, and I went in there, and being adventurous, feeling adventurous, I saw this bottle with a gargoyle. They didn't have all their other types, and I imagine Stone was a smaller brewery at the time, because it was a long time ago. And that's all I saw was Arrogant Bastard. And I was reading the bottle. It's all, you probably won't like this beer, and all this kind of arrogant stuff. It's all, you're probably mouthing your words as you read this. I think it still says all that stuff on the bottle. I thought it was funny. I felt like it was a challenge. So I decided to grab one. Took it up to the counter. My buddy said, oh, Augie, I don't know, man. You should get that. You should try it. But you should probably also get something else, like a regular type beer, like a Sam Adams or something, to drink afterwards, because that beer is pretty harsh. So I said, all right, man. I walked back over to the cooler, and I opened it, and I grabbed another Arrogant Bastard and went back to the counter and set it down. And he's like, fucking Augie. Which I like hearing. That's my goal, is to get my friends to say, fucking Augie. Excuse me. Yeah, so he rang me up, put him in a bag, and I went over to my buddy's house. And we had a few friends there. We're sitting around, and I cracked the beer open. I said, let's try this new beer. I've never took a drink, and it was pretty big flavor. It was like a big kick in the mouth, but I liked it. I really liked it. And everybody in the room said they liked it. And yeah, I fell in love with that stuff. And I think it's supposed to be 7.2%, and this stuff is 7.5. But I feel like I've felt a little more intoxicated or inebriated or whatever off less Arrogant Bastard than Old English liquid-wise, but it could just, I don't know. Yeah, so many other beers. There's so many good beers now, but really I just kind of want a cheap, sweet. This stuff is sweet. When I was getting used to the taste, I was like, it tastes like honey or something, or apples, or both. Maybe I'm just weird, but there's sugars involved, so it would taste a little bit sweet. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear the music or not, but it's Wellhaven, an album called WHVN, their second album, late '90s, I believe, early 2000s. Been a favorite of some friends of mine and me. Um, yeah, so back in the day, we used to get those cases of 40s. I honestly only remember ever playing Edward 40 Hands one time, and I'm pretty sure I won, and I'll win again. You're gonna challenge me to Edward 40 Hands? I'll do it. Um, from what I remember of the rules, one of my friends, hey, my friend who actually brought me this, known him for a very long time. He lost because he had somebody help him take a bottle off of his hand so he could pee um, without peeing on himself. I remember having my 240s taped to my hands, and I was kind of taking my time. I was just sipping, and my buddy's Mo and Peter, rest in peace, Peter. Love you, miss you. Um, they're laughing at me. They're standing there, chugging on one of their 40s. Oh, look at Augie. He's just drinking his slow. He's not gonna win. And I shrugged my shoulders and sat there and kept pacing myself. And by the time they got a 40 down very quickly, they were both sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm full," and still had a most of the second 40. So yeah, that slowed them down. I don't know. I don't know what the trick is. You can drink all that beer, you win. 240s is a good amount though in a short amount of time. Um, and yeah, fun times. You know, I remember one time that we got into a little car accident, but it wasn't a result of the case of 40s. The case of 40s was a result of the car accident. We were out at the river, and my buddy uh, crashed into a gate with his Suzu Rodeo. Mo, the same buddy who was laughing at me, thinking that I wasn't going to win at Edward 40 Hands. Love you, Mo. And he crashed into the gate, and the front of the car kind of folded over. We had to kind of make effort, and a few of us, to pry it off. It was a funny sight. I still remember like little snapshots of that. You know, we weren't partying, we weren't wasted or anything. We were just having fun. You know. And so after that incident, we roll back into more populated areas and stopped at the liquor store and grabbed a case of 40s on the way back to their house with a busted up car. That was pretty funny. I'll never forget that. Excuse me. The most recent time I bought a case of 40s was for a Christmas party at the restaurant I worked at, Juliana's. R.I.P. Maybe. I thought it'd be funny. It was like a potluck, and I jokingly wrote on the paper where everybody said what they were gonna bring. I said I was gonna bring a case of Old English 40s, and while I really did want to bring a case of 40s, I figured the plastic bottles and Juliana's is classier than that, so I grabbed a case of Mickey's glass bottles. That's fancy. And it went over pretty well, I think. I don't know what. I'm not a very good cook, so I didn't bring anything to the potluck that I made. I brought a veggie tray, and that went over well too. I said, "Hey, I'll take a veggie tray, and if nobody eats it, I will eat the hell out of that thing." And Yeah, the 40s. Some people were drinking 40s. The next day, there was some broken glass out there on the patio. So I don't know if that 40 got all the way drank, but other than that, there was one 40 left the next day. So they partied. We drank that shit. They weren't above drinking some malt liquor that night. That was a good night. Yeah, but, you know, I don't buy those very often anymore. Fun times.